Welcome to Pennsylvania Newsmakers, and as always, thanks for watching. Well, it's the Credit Union's Ambassador Program, but first, how about this? My special interview with the Governor of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Tom Wolf. As they say, let's get to it.
This is Pennsylvania Newsmakers, a fast-paced, unrehearsed weekly discussion with and about the leaders who shape your world. And now, here's your host, Terry Madonna.
Well, here we go. Sitting across from me is Governor Tom Wolf. He has his hands full, Governor, to say the least, with everything going on. I don't know how you keep up with everything. Chaos in the legislature and the Senate. But let's not talk about that first. Let's go to the state budget. As we speak, the budget has not been adopted. Finally, it is not on your desk yet.
Right.
But what is it that's likely to get there? It's been approved by the House. We're waiting for the Senate. What do you like and what don't you like? Let's start what you like about it.
Okay, yeah. There's some things I like and some things that I wish were in it that look like they're not going to be in it. So this is Thursday. It's not final yet. But what I like is, again, more money for education, $265 million for education. Since I've been in office, this is my fifth budget, $1.2 billion from early childhood to 12th grade. Plus increases in higher education throughout that time.
Right.
Once again, in this budget, you will see a big increase in public education funding. Second thing I like is we have a farm bill that really pays tribute to the importance of agriculture in Pennsylvania, not just platitudes, but something that actually
milkshakes like here.
Those are symbolic. This is stuff that really helps our dairy farmers and helps farmers do what they need to do and make sure the state's doing what we need to do to empower them, enable them to serve the markets that are surrounding them right here. So that we have a GI Bill, the first GI Bill that actually extends education benefits to family members of serving Guards people. We have in this real improvement in health care so that people's insurance premiums, people should see real reductions in their insurance premiums as a result of this. Workforce readiness programs, programs aimed to help vulnerable populations, a number of different things. And we're the only state, as far as I know, that we're doing some interesting and important things on addressing the issue of campus sexual violence.
So to put it...
So these are the good things. We don't have minimum wage. We don't have cash. We don't have cash assistance.
And I want to get into those in a minute. Okay. But overall, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but what the heck I will, you're likely to sign the bill as it's currently moving through the legislature. Is that correct? Now, I know you could find some...
Yeah, it's not finished. They're not finished yet, and then there are also the details in the different codes bills. But it's moving in a direction that I think we all, most of us, really like. But as I say, there are things in it that are not in it that should be. I wanted to see an increase in the minimum wage.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
That's something that Pennsylvania, it's an embarrassment. We're at $7.25. The states around us all have higher minimum wages. So if you're a worker living outside of Pennsylvania and you're looking at a place you might want to move to build a career, and you look at that $7.25 minimum wage, you're going to say, well, Pennsylvania is not a place that really values work.
Here's what I thought, but what do I know? You wanted $12 an hour this summer. Eventually to go to 15 with a 50-cent increase over the next several years. Right. Senator Corman, the majority leader, said he's interested. Let's talk about it. I thought they might end up doing maybe not 12, but go to $9.50 or $10 or $10.25 an hour. I am surprised that they didn't do something with it.
Yeah, I'm surprised too. I thought we were having some conversations, and I'll just continue those conversations. I mean, I've been calling for an increase in the minimum wage since I've been governor. I'll continue to call for that. And again, I don't care what your ideology is. This is an embarrassment for Pennsylvania to be the lowest in our region and to be still at $7. No, you can't. A full-time job paying $7.25 is not going to support a family.
All right, let's go to, there was has been described in the press as chaos in the legislature this past week, where there was shouting going on, and your party's Democrats walked out of the Senate and had a little press conference, and it had to do with a program known as cash assistance, which people who are virtually at the poverty level or who can't work for a variety of reasons get up to $200 a month. Now, there have been some debates over it in the past, but I was actually surprised that that became a big issue.
Yeah, it was cash assistance was dropped, I guess, back in 2012.
Right.
Then the Supreme Court recently ruled that that was wrong to drop it the way they did, and said that the state should put it back in, which I did, fully supporting it. And it became a political football, so that the other side decided they wanted to attack it. I agree with you. It's something that really is important. It's a modest program, but it's really important to the people who need it, and I think it's something that we ought to keep. So I have supported it and continue to support it right up to the point that we have to make a different decision.
Right.
What the Republicans have done is packed one of the code bills with some other things that also address the needs of vulnerable populations, like assessments for hospitals in poor areas.
Right.
And so the choices that I'm going to have is a Hobson's choice. Is to, if I veto the whole thing, I'm hurting people who really need those hospitals.
Yep.
In the interest of
So that's
doing what I
something
think is right on cash assistance. If I accept it, then I'm hurting the people who depend on cash assistance. So it's a Hobson's choice.
Yeah, I'm sure. All right, we're going to run to a break. When I come back, there are 3 or 4 other important topics I want to talk about. What about a verifiable paper trail for voting machines? That's something I know you've had an interest in, and we'll get to that and more after these words.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by the Pennsylvania Chamber of Business and Industry, the statewide voice of business, and by the Pennsylvania State Education Association and Partners for Public Education, bringing the power of a great education to our schools, our students, and our communities. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Pennsylvania Highway Information Association, the go-to source to learn about transportation projects and issues. Please visit pahighwayinfo.org. And by the Pennsylvania Manufacturers Association. Business in Pennsylvania is our business.
I'm chatting with my special guest this week, the Governor of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Tom Wolf. Governor, we were talking about the cash assistance program, and at one point, the President Pro Tem of the Senate, Joe Scarnati, apparently seized control of the chamber, got the mic over your Lieutenant Governor, John Fetterman, and then they're screaming and shouting and the walkout. That was described as chaos. Take it.
No, I think I'd like to defend democracy here. First of all, the Lieutenant Governor, I think, was trying to do his job, and as he understood it, and there was some disagreement. In a democracy, I think I thought that was a really functional, good moment where people are not just sort of sitting there sort of blithely going through.
Yeah.
There were passions, there was disagreement.
Yeah.
That's what democracy is about. And then the real test of democracy is if you can express yourself like that and then get back to work and get things done.
Yeah.
That's what we did here in Pennsylvania. I thought
and
it
wasn't
great.
like we had during Governor Schaap's second term, there was a fist fight that broke out over a budget. There were 15, 16, and fist fights back in the day were not uncommon, by the way.
No, I think everybody everybody said their piece and got back to work and got things done for the people of Pennsylvania. That's what a democracy is supposed to be.
But you hit on a very important point. If you veto the removal of the cash assistance program, then there are hospitals and other folks who are going to, that really puts you in a
the other side's
position.
done a nice job of sort of creating what they call a Hobson's choice.
Right.
I'd like to have both. If I veto a code bill that doesn't have the cash assistance, which I really think we need, then people in areas that really need to have the money in this same code bill for hospitals get hurt. And so, you're between a rock and a hard place. That's the kind of thing that sometimes happens in divided government. I think what we've got to look at is what's the best we can do here, and how can we help the vulnerable population. given the reality that this particular bill looks like it's on its way to my desk.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. All right, let's switch topics. You issued an order that by next spring, I think, that the counties had to purchase or lease new voting machines because of the efforts by the Russians to hack into our voting in this state and other states as well. And that means you need a voting machine with what's called
paper trail.
A verifiable paper trail. And some counties have already done it, but there's not enough money to go around to complete that project. And the state, correct me if I'm wrong, looks like you're ready to borrow $90 million to add to the, to purchase these machines or lease them, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. First of all, it's not just. This is not me saying the counties have to. This is the Department of Homeland Security, the federal government. This administration in Washington has said we really need to do this so we can be sure that the vote, however you vote, that your vote counts. So that's what this is about, and the verifiable paper trail is important. The Department of State, which is trying to implement this, has been working with the different counties, and most of the counties are interested in doing this. I think all of them are concerned about the cost. And so this, one of the bills that is making its way, this is Thursday, not the end of the week. So one of the bills that has passed the House and is on its way to the Senate does have $90 million in it for this, a bond issue, which would be on top of the $14 million that the feds have put in, and with some financing by the vendor, should get the counties pretty close.
Some of the counties don't have the money to do this. I mean, not all of them.
So this is an effort to make sure that they have that. There's some other things in that bill. I have to take a look at it. It's not. It's still in progress. So I'll have to take a look at that. But these are the kinds of things that we're all trying to do to make sure that when somebody goes in to vote, no matter where it is in Pennsylvania, that person has the idea that their vote's going to count.
We're going to run to another break. We have to pay our bills here.
I got it.
But I do want to talk to you about something else. Should we end straight party voting? Should we let unaffiliated voters, they're not in a party, pick a party to vote in a primary? These are a couple of issues that could end up on your desk. They're likely to end up on your desk. We'll do that and more after these words.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Pennsylvania Credit Union Association. Pennsylvania Credit Unions, where people are worth more than money. To find a credit union that is right for you, check out ibelong.org. And by the Energy Association of Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania's energy information source. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Association of Pennsylvania State College and University Faculties, representing the faculty and coaches who are devoted to providing quality public higher education for Pennsylvania's college students.
Well, I'm chatting with Governor Tom Wolf. We talked about a number of policy areas. How about a couple areas that might have political implication? Let's talk about proposals that would say no straight party voting. In other words, you'd have to put a check in a box for every individual candidate, as opposed to one X for the whole ticket. What do you think about that? Does it really matter?
I think we really need to do voting reform, and I'd like to see early voting, no excuse absentee ballots. I'm fine with nonpartisan primaries. I'm not sure why we need to move away from the option of straight party ballot. I'm not sure how that helps. We need to make voting more accessible. I'm against gerrymandering. We need to continue to work on all those things. The bill that you're talking about talks about, I think, straight ballot, straight party voting, and just simply eliminating that on its own. I'm not sure what the point is.
I like, by the way, to do the boxes.
I've always done it too. That's why I vote too.
I never vote straight. I always do the boxes just because I want my money's worth out of it. Go ahead.
No, I live in a small town and I vote. I like to take my time. But I think, again, when we look at election reform, we ought to be looking at it from the point of view of how can we make encourage more people to vote, and I don't see how just doing that
Oh, I don't think
accomplishes
that will, yeah. But there's another proposal that we've got somewhere in the neighborhood of 800,000 voters who are not in a party. Mm-hmm. They're not in the D party, the R party, Libertarian,
right,
Green.
Right.
They can't vote in a primary,
right.
And should they be able to pick a party? You can't jump around, but pick a party and vote in it.
I think so.
So you would sign that?
I would. Again, I think that's part of a broader package of things that actually makes our election system more accessible. So, yeah.
But the other argument is, you're a Democrat. Should somebody else help pick your party's nominees? I'm just making the other argument.
I get that. On the other hand, sometimes you end up with someone moving into an area where it's so one party dominates, and so you're almost forced to. There's a network effect. Yeah. Open primary voting sort of gets around that, and I think makes the system more open, accessible.
Before I let you go, Highmark University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, they worked out a deal. There was some problems where lots of folks could be left without insurance, not without insurance, but able to access health care. Take it.
I think the Attorney General, Josh Shapiro, did a phenomenal job of bringing those two parties together. And as he said in the press conference where we both were there, he said the neat thing about this is that this is a private sector solution. This isn't the government, the courts imposing the consent decree on both parties. This is both parties sitting down and figuring out for a 10-year period, not 5, not 1.5, but 10, that they will take each other's patients. Now, as you point out, there are some details and stuff to be worked out. But the heartening thing about this is these two parties sat down and said, let's make sure that we're doing the right thing by consumers here.
Sure. Look, I want to thank you for coming in. Great update. We'll have you back. Hope you'll come back, and we'll see what goes on in the fall. None of this is over yet.
Not over yet.
All right. What are we going to do next? How about the Credit Union's Ambassador Program? That's a popular subject. We'll take that up after these words.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Pennsylvania Medical Society, inspired physicians committed to the good health of Pennsylvanians and the advancement of the practice of medicine, and by the Pennsylvania Healthcare Association, the future of long-term care.
All right, joining me as often is the case is Patrick Conway. He's the president and CEO of the Pennsylvania Credit Union Association. We're going to take up the subject we often do, financial literacy and how important it is. But joining him is Ellise Ortiz. She is the Trumark Financial Credit Union. Do I got that right? Is that what you're with?
Yes.
All right, let's go to Patrick. You have a program called the Credit Union Ambassador Program. What is it, and why should the folks out there care about it?
Well, it's a great program. You know, the Credit Union Association has been doing this for 43 years.
Wow.
And we have local chapters around the Commonwealth, and many of our credit unions encourage their top young professionals to compete for the chapter designation, and then the chapter winners of the contest come to Harrisburg and compete. It involves a written exam about credit union principles and history, one-on-one interviews, and a speech before a convention of about 400 credit union leaders from around the state. And, it's a great program. It's a great way to recognize up-and-coming leaders like Ellise.
Absolutely.
So you went through the program and you're the winner?
I am the winner.
Well, go on. Tell it. What did you have to do to become the winner?
So like Patrick said, you have to do a written exam, an interview with 3 judges, and then a speech. My speech was about the 7 cooperative principles and how they still apply today after 175 years. So I guess that was the winning speech for me, and here I am today.
So what is it that you do now that you won?
So I'm advocating for financial literacy. So those are some of my goals, advocating for the credit union movement and raising awareness, and also representing the association.
Yeah. So I can't get over, of all the things, you have a Kiss a Pig fundraiser.
Yes.
What the heck is Kiss a Pig fundraiser?
And that's normally the reaction.
I know.
Yeah, so people get the privilege to actually kiss a pig.
Kiss a pig.
Yeah, and we say
I live in Lancaster
privilege.
County, a big farm county, and I've never kissed a pig, but go ahead.
Yeah. I actually kissed a pig.
You did?
Yeah, it was an interesting first kiss. So basically, community leaders, teachers, business professionals, they all come together. We basically just network with one another and raise funds. And these funds are then given back to schools that we partnered with in our community so that they can buy personal finance resources.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes.
I don't know about Kiss a Pig, but what you do. All right, look, over the course of several years, we've talked about the importance of financial literacy, and more and more and more with increasing credit card debt. I'm not just picking on credit cards. We all have them. They're important. But people get into this situation where they borrow when they should and they don't save enough. And, and financial literacy.
You know, it's interesting, Terry. For all the great things we do in this country and in this great Commonwealth, one of the things we don't do that great is educate young people on financial literacy skills. And so many of our credit unions have in-school branches. I think Trumark has 6 or 7.
Yes, we have 6.
And you know, our credit unions are in about 250 out of the 500 school districts with a presence.
We talked about that, and that's important. Go ahead.
Yeah. So you know, I think the finance professionals are really trying to educate young people and students at an earlier age so that they don't have financial problems as they grow up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Obviously, you fall into that category of being, relatively young, just starting your career, and you've already reached an awareness of the significance of financial literacy. So what is it that you're going to do? What is it? What are your goals?
So I work already in the heart of the financial literacy department back at Trumark Financial Credit Union. And I agree with Patrick. I feel like we don't do a good enough job in promoting financial literacy, especially in Pennsylvania, where only 11% of high school students are required to take a personal finance resource class before they graduate. And these students are our future. So I feel like it's very important to get our boots out in the ground in there and promoting financial literacy, especially in high schools.
Yeah. Now, to talk about your program in the schools, you actually set up a series of seminars and meetings with, go ahead, take it.
Yeah, the financial reality fairs is what we call that program, and credit union volunteers come from the community into a school, and it's really sort of an interactional kind of fun way to teach students how to plan for, they get a job and a salary, and they've got to plan the utility expense, their living expense, automobile, cell phone, things like that. And it really helps educate them in a fun, interactive way on how to develop a budget and live within it. And it's credit unions are doing this all over the state. It's really an exciting program.
Yeah. What's your long-term goal for your life?
I would say my long-term goal for my life is to continue developing in my current role and to keep promoting the credit union philosophy. I was just telling Patrick in the waiting room how I came into the credit union movement, and it's something that I am truly passionate about, and I'm just happy to be able to be a part of such an organization that just believes in the community as much as they do.
Yeah, and long-term, are you going to continue to expand your participation in the schools?
Yes, absolutely. It's a priority for our credit unions is to really help give back in the community, help people who need these kind of skills, and really particularly the youth.
I want to congratulate you on your success, and we'll have you back next month to continue. All right, we'll see you next week for another edition of Pennsylvania Newsmakers, and as always, stay well.